Hear, O Israel, the Lord our God, the Lord is one. I want for you to forgive me this afternoon for my summer garb. You know I don't wear the summer garb, but I just came and it's very humid outside. So I figured that I have to come looking summery. But there's so many things that I want to talk to you about. I know what the lesson is about, dipping in truth and bound by the law. But something was on my desk, and I spoke to some of my colleagues, and I asked them, what is the meaning of this that is on my desk that I should address with them, not to the public? But I'm doing it to the public because it is ridiculous. I always say that militancy for the black man never work because you got trained soldiers, trained policemen, all of these people, and yet the black man wants to be militant. Even though we don't have a hoofer, you can't be. There's so many things that are going wrong in the community that needs to be addressed. One of them is suddenly, like it's on my desk, I saw it right in there, about the black man in America calling himself indigenous. This is the most ridiculous thing, but you know, it's not so much the crowd or the multitude, it's the teachers. Because rather than you being leaders, you being followers. Somebody tells you, I remember one man coming from a country called Guyana, his name was Van Sertima, was saying these things about the black man being in America first. I don't care about that. What about my great-grandfather who was a slave, who came with ships? The minute you start talking about you being indigenous, you're taking away 400 years. You are taking away everything, all the sufferings that our parents went through. Forget this indigenous situation. It is garbage because you're making the native look very funny and strange because you're not indigenous. You were a slave. You want to take away our history. Take it away and telling yourself you're indigenous. You're not. You have woolly hair just like Jesus said that he had, just like God said he had in the Garden of Eden. So let's forget about this indigenous thing and don't worry about it. That is one thing I want to talk about. But the next thing, I hope I don't say too long because I have two very talented people will be coming up here to say all the things about depth and truth and bound by law. Beautiful. I want for you to pay attention to that whenever it is started. I had a meeting with my colleagues in my office. I think that was yesterday. And I'm not talking about militancy anymore. What I'm talking about is you go through, this is what they say, you read through all the YouTube, and you see the people that calling themselves by our names and boasting that they have 40,000 people, 50,000 people. Why are you worried about that? I spoke about the militancy is one, but why are you worried about people who have 40 and 50,000 people? That's why I asked for them to read Genesis 17. I don't have you notice, I don't have a Bible. So I'm telling you what the Bible says. And it's in your Bible too when you read it. It says that we're supposed to be circumcised because that's the law given to our fathers. Again, we're not indigenous. If you're indigenous, you don't have to be circumcised. Therefore, you're not a child of God. Okay, so if you claimed you got 50,000, how many of you are circumcised? Genesis 17 says it is the law given by our Father, and it's passed down. But what is most important in that scripture? It says The uncircumcised person should be cut off from the family. There you have it. If you have to join the Israelite nation, any men, not women, any male have to join the Israelite nation worldwide ministry, you have to be circumcised. If you don't want to be circumcised, go with the Hebrews. Because this is ridiculous what is happening in the world today. There's so much information, and the truth is being hidden only by the ignorant. So I'm trying to tell you, try to look at the truth. Try to find it. Look at whatever is coming out from the Israelite nation, and you would find the truth. But today it's not about me. It's not about anything else. It's just deep in the truth, bound by the law. Who in this world today fit that to be dipped in truth? They don't even know the truth. How they can be dipped in it? Bound by law, you first have to be of the truth. Because when you cut your foreskin, that's the signature you make. If you don't cut your foreskin, you're not a part of this family. So don't boast about your numbers. It's irrelevant. And anyone that does that, I'm trying to be very plain and straightforward with every one of you. Number one, you know that we're not Muslims. Muslims sold us. They sold us to Christians. So forget that, but Islam and Allah. And I'm telling you something now. You're not a Christian either. The Bible do not have not one Muslim inside. And if you look carefully, very carefully, you wouldn't even find half of a Christian inside. All you would find inside is people like me and you, my dear brethren. Others, the uncircumcised, is not a part of this family. And I want to thank you very much for listening to me in this 5 minutes that I've taken so that I can have, his name is Levi, and he's from Europe, and he's a great teacher, and he's coming to tell you how much he's dipped in the truth and how much he's bound by the law. Hear, O Israel, the Lord our God is one. Thank you.
Psalms 25. Unto thee, O Lord, do I lift up my soul. O my God, I trust in thee. Let me not be ashamed. Let not mine enemies triumph over me. Yea, let none that wait on thee be ashamed. Let them be ashamed which transgress without cause. Show me thy ways, O Lord, and teach me in thy paths. Lead me in thy truths and teach me, for thou art the God of my salvation, and on thee do I wait all the day. Remember, O Lord, thy tender mercies and thy loving kindnesses, for they have been ever of old. Remember not the sins of my youth, nor my transgressions, according to thy mercy. Remember thou me for my goodness' sake, O Lord. Good and upright is the Lord. Therefore will he teach the sinners in the way. The meek will he guide in judgment, and the meek will he teach his way. All the paths of the Lord are mercy and truth unto such as keep his covenant and his testimonies. For thy name's sake, O Lord, pardon mine iniquities, for it is great. What man is he that feareth the Lord? Him shall he teach in the way that he shall choose. His soul shall dwell at ease, and his seed shall inherit the earth. The secret of the Lord is with them that fear him, and he will show them his covenant. Mine eyes are ever towards the Lord, for he shall pluck my feet out of the net. Turn thee unto me, and have mercy upon me, for I am desolate and afflicted. The troubles of my heart are enlarged. O bring thou me out of my distresses. Look upon mine afflictions and my pain and forgive all my sins. Consider mine enemies, for they are many, and they hate me with a cruel hatred. O keep my soul and deliver me. Let me not be ashamed, for I put my trust in thee. Let integrity and uprightness preserve me, for I wait on thee. Redeem Israel, O God, out of all of his troubles. Selah and Selah. Amen. Peace, 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 and peace. And welcome to another segment of Saturday, I'm going to say afternoon live, usually Saturday night live when we watch back home in Europe. So I'm going to say Saturday afternoon live, Saturday night live for all my brethren that are watching from London and across Europe. I'm so happy to be here. I'm so happy to be at headquarters. You can never ever get enough of the energy that is radiated upon any of the brethren in headquarters. So I'm so happy to be here, and I never ever take it for granted. It's been an interesting few days. Been a very exciting few days. Very joyous, very joyful. On Saturday, I believe it was Saturday, I actually landed and came straight here for the feast of my big sister Jalisa. And on Monday, my brother Eli, 21st cycle, or third cycle feast, 21st birthday, 21st year on earth. Elder made a very good point yesterday. And you know, I do think about it every so often. I do, what's the word? I do think that it's something that we need to really boast about, right? I say it to our elder Ricardo, our priest Ricardo, and he's back at home in England. And he is the first priest under the Israelite Nation Worldwide Ministries in Europe. That's a big thing for me, for the nation, especially knowing where, you know, Christianity originated from, where all the paganry, if that's even a word, where all of that originates from. To be the first priest in Europe is a massive thing. But something that I easily forget is that my brother Eli is the first offered up in Europe. And that's amazing. And I say my brother Eli, and I hope you guys understand or know that it's not just my brother through, I guess, through spirit, through, you know, being in the nation. This is my biological brother, right? And that's something that he can't take for granted, something he doesn't take for granted. Funny enough, I'll tell you guys a little story, and I'll let you guys into a glimpse of our lives, right, at home. Brothers are brothers, siblings are siblings, and, you know, you poke fun at each other naturally. But if any of us cross the line too far with him, the only line he can use on myself or Priest Jaden is, hey, I'm offered up, you're not. And it stings, right? Massive one, and it stings. So, hey, I'm glad his feast was a success. I'm glad I was here for his feast, and it was so beautiful. And feasts in headquarters is something that I implore every single brethren to come and experience at least once. At least once. So we had our must teacher, Elder Shadrach, come onto the stage and open up for me. Thank you so much, Granddad. Thank you so much, Elder Shadrach, for your opener. You know, it I guess adds to the pressure. It adds to the difficulty in me relaying my message, because you can't come on stage and outdo our elder. Impossible. Even if you wanted to, even if you tried your hardest to, it's hard. But some of the things he said, I have to touch upon. And I may not teach it as well as our master teacher, but I have to touch upon it. So the title of our lesson today is Dipped in Truth and Bound by Law. The law of the God of Abraham, the God of Isaac, and the God of Jacob. I'll give you guys a little glimpse, another glimpse into my life. So I've been baptized for going on 2 years now. Going on 2 years. I was supposed to have been baptized in summer of 2023. It's 20 years old, turning 21. Supposed to be here for baptism. Supposed to be here for my third cycle service. I had it all planned out, and it was going to be perfect. Unfortunately, I didn't make it. I didn't make it here. That was summer 2023. I didn't make it here. So now that, you know, 2 years has gone, 3 years has gone actually, and I think back to myself and think, why? I feel like I've grown up enough to actually understand and be real with myself to understand why. I was young. I was a young man. I was 20 turning 21. And yes, I always looked forward to being baptized. Always looked forward to being baptized. I was born in this nation. Yes, I wasn't offered up, but I was named and circumcised on the 8th day, something that our elder just spoke about. I was named and circumcised on the 8th day. My life is this nation. My life is this nation. I never ever kept a Christmas, never kept an Easter, never kept an Eid, never kept a Hanukkah, never kept the Festival of Lights that the Sikhs keep. I think it's the Sikhs. I kept the Passover, kept the new moons, the Sabbaths, the Feast of Tabernacles, blowing of trumpets, and everything that our forefathers kept, because that was how I was raised. So baptism was something that I looked forward to. But it didn't happen. Why did it not happen now? It didn't happen because I was stopping off in Dallas, maybe not Dallas, Washington, sorry. And the flight was to go from London to Washington and from Washington here. I'm not too privy or understanding of their laws, and I didn't get their ETA equivalent, right? For those that live in Canada, you know what the ETA is. So I didn't get their ETA equivalent. Hence the reason why I didn't make it. But then I can't only blame that. I can't only blame that. I have to think to myself, how was I feeling that day? What was going through my mind that day? And I have to meditate. And I'll be honest with you guys. 70% of me and my heart, my mind, wanted to be here to baptized. 30% was that I didn't want to let down the nation. I didn't want to let down my parents. And I'm going to be honest. Didn't want to let down the nation. Didn't want to let my parents down. And I have to be real. Baptism didn't happen that day. I went home. I did break down. Prayed a lot that day, more than once. And just prayed that our Father spared my life to get to baptism next year. And maybe it was that I needed that year to really think about what I'm doing. Because baptism is not something that we must take for granted. It's not something that we just make the vows. It's not something we just say these things, walk out, and all smiles and we're happy. We're not a Catholic church denomination. Sorry, church is the wrong phrase. We're not a Catholic or Christian denomination. I don't come here, get dipped, take pictures, smile, and get told, welcome to the family. That's not the way it works. That isn't the way it works. It's a lot deeper than that. So I needed that year, most probably, to just meditate and think to myself, this is exactly what you want. Came back the next year, and I was over the moon. I knew exactly from the day after I missed it, in fact, that this is exactly what I need and exactly what I want. And that 70% went to 100% really fast because it was taken away from me and I realized what was taken away from me. So I needed that year, as stated, I needed that year to really recuperate and think, this is what you want, this is what you need. You weren't offered up, you were circumcised on the 8th day, named on the 8th day, and you've kept every single custom and tradition of your forefathers. This is not a backing out situation, right? The last time I came up here in April, I really pushed the line, no plan B. No plan B, and let's burn the ships. That was my tagline, the whole lesson. That circumstance, I had to understand there is no plan B and there is no making your way back. It was a burn the ship moment. But as I said, I needed that time. I needed that to be taken away from me for me to understand that this is valuable. This is what you need. And the minute I realized that, I got on my knees, prayed to the Lord and said to him, please spare my life for next year so that I can be baptized under the Israelite Nation Worldwide Ministries. So that is what happened. Summer 2024, came here, baptized. And the story is as it is now. So the title, as I said, is Dipped in Truth and Bound by Law. Please don't think that they work hand in hand together. And let me expand on that. Dipped in truth, bound by law. You are not going to be dipped in truth, i.e. the baptism or being baptized, unless you are bound by the law. Our elder read Genesis 17 and we're going to read it. We're going to read Genesis 17. Our elder, our master teacher narrowed it down perfectly. But there are a few points I also wanted to add because I noted down because That meeting that our elder spoke about just now, I was privy to the conversation in that meeting, and I'm proud to say it. I was privy to that conversation. Privy to that conversation. I was in the room as we spoke about it. And so many things ran through my mind. So we're going to turn there. Let's turn to Genesis 17. We'll read from verse 4 all the way to verse 11. And I'll make a point on another verse. Genesis 17 from verse 4. It states, "As for me, behold, my covenant is with you, or with thee, and thou shalt be a father of many nations. Neither shall thy name any more be called Abram, but thy name shall be Abraham. For a father of many nations have I made thee." The I in this is the God of Abraham, the God of Isaac, and the God of Jacob. But this is before he made us privy to his name. Verse 6, "And I will make thee exceeding fruitful, and I will make nations of thee, and kings shall come out of thee. And I will establish my covenant between me, the God of Abraham, the God of Isaac, and the God of Jacob, and thee and thy seed." Abram, or Abraham in this case, including us, Israelites. "After thee in their generation for an everlasting covenant, to be a God unto thee and to thy seed after thee." The God of Abraham, the God of Isaac, and the God of Jacob, as part of the covenant, will be a God unto me, you, and all my brethren forever. That's the way it was supposed to be. "And I will give unto thee and to thy seed after thee the land wherein thou art a stranger, all the land of Canaan, for an everlasting possession, and I will be their God. And God said unto Abraham, Thou shalt keep my covenant, therefore, thou and thy seed after thee in their generations." This is a promise. This is a bond that we cannot break. A covenant is a bond that we cannot break. You may think you can break your bond with another man down the street, but if you make a promise or a bond with the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, you cannot break it. "This is my covenant, which you shall keep between me and you and thy seed after thee. Every man child among you shall be circumcised." Now, this is the point our master teacher made. Don't be caught up in seeing other denominations with 40, 50,000 people in their little shrine. I'll give you guys an example of this. I was at a family member's house a few weeks ago. Hardcore Christian, real Christian, child of Jacob, of course, right? Hardcore Christian, love her very much though, right? Love her very, very much. And being a hardcore Christian on the Sunday, if you can't get to the shrine, you'll watch it on your TV, right? I'm there watching but not listening, right? Don't shoot me down. I'm not watching because I want to watch. I'm watching because my nan was watching, right? I'm watching but not listening, right? And it was, believe it or not, I think this first example, this wasn't a child of Jacob. This was not a child of Jacob. It's a Hamite. And he's teaching his word, making up a load of nonsense. And then the camera panned to the audience. And I promise you, I have never seen so many people listening to one man chat gibberish for 2 hours. 2 hours. So when our elder says, don't worry about a man having a service to what they believe in, and it has 40,000 people inside of the service, don't worry about that. This is what matters. Another example I'll give. When thinking about this lesson and when going through the scriptures, or when I'm planning a lesson anyway, I like to, one, obviously read the scriptures, as that's what I'm here to do, teach the scripture. I'm not here to make up anything. But number two, I do like to look back on the videos and the lessons that the nation have released. And there was one on baptism last year. Officer Doreen, Teacher Matthew. And they were speaking about family. And they made a very good point. There's loads of gangs going on, loads of gangs in the world. I think the example that they gave was the Blood and the Crips because it was around Kendrick Lamar, etc., right? But the point they wanted to make was with these gangs, you have to be initiated. You have to be brought in by a mean, right? But then they bid the question, where did this idea of family first come from? It came from the God of Abraham, the God of Isaac, and the God of Jacob in the scripture we're reading right now. The initiation that we have, the duty that we have as being a part of this family, being a part of it by blood, being a part of this truth, is to circumcise, is to be under the covenant. So as I said, when our elder says, don't worry about the 40,000 people that are watching this guy speak all his rubbish and all his gibberish, it is exactly that. Because they're not doing this. They're not doing this. Let's continue let's read verse 11 again. And ye shall circumcise the flesh of your foreskin, and it shall be a token of the covenant between me, or betwixt me and you. And he that is 8 days old shall be circumcised among you. Every man child in your generation, he that is born in the house, or bought with money of any stranger, which is not of thy seed, he that is born in the house, and he that is bought of thy money, must need be circumcised, and my covenant shall be in your flesh for an everlasting covenant. This is a token. This is our signature. Circumcision is our signature of the covenant, of the agreement. You don't make an agreement with one party. An agreement is between two parties. In this case, the God of Abraham, the God of Isaac, and the God of Jacob, and us, the children of Israel. So when we circumcise, that is our signature. Verse 14. And the uncircumcised man, so the inverse, the opposite, the uncircumcised man, child, whose flesh or of his foreskin is not circumcised, that soul shall be cut off from his people, for he hath broken the covenant. So if you do not do what is instructed, if you do not sign that covenant, if you do not take part in that token, you are not a part of the family. You cannot be initiated. So the title is dipped in truth, bound by law. But you are not dipped in truth unless you are bound by law. And I will expand on that. I will expand on that. Let's go to Ecclesiastes chapter 5 from verse 1. So I'm going to have, I guess, a few talking points, right? As it is baptism coming up. So I'm going to have a few talking points. I'm not going to be up here telling you what the baptism is. You know, there are greater men to do that, especially the man after me, right? So I'm not going to be here telling you what the baptism is. But I hope you understand the title when we say dipped in truth, bound by law, and say you cannot be dipped in truth unless you are bound by the law. So let's go to Ecclesiastes chapter 5. So, talking point number 1. Baptism is a promise. These are vows you are making. This is not just a ceremony. And I made the point earlier. We're not like a Christian or a Catholic denomination. People are begging to be baptized, heavy on the quotation marks, begging to be baptized, but they are dipped into the water, they get a picture taken of them, they get smiles, and then they're told, welcome to the club, and that's it. No, not the case. Not the case. So baptism is a promise. It is a public vow, a vow that everybody hears you say between between you and the God of Abraham, the God of Isaac, and the God of Jacob. So if I don't judge you, or if I tell you you've broken your vows, you can back me off all you want, but you made the vows to the God of Abraham, the God of Isaac, and the God of Jacob. So you're not breaking it to me, you're breaking it to the Lord. Remember that. Okay, let's read Ecclesiastes chapter 5 from verse 1. Remember the words I just said about the vows and the promises that we make. It says, keep thy foot when thou goest to the house of God, and be more ready to hear than to give the sacrifice of fools, for they consider not that they do evil. Let's read that one again. Keep thy foot when thou goest to the house of God, and be more ready to hear than to give the sacrifice of fools, for they consider not that they do evil. Now, I'm going to say it. I do believe that if every Jacobite listened to the words that are written in this scripture, in this verse specifically, maybe the Israelite Nation Worldwide Ministries would have people waiting outside to come and join us. Maybe, just maybe. Because a bad trait that I have realized among my people, among Jacob, is we just don't want to listen. We just don't want to hear. Something that my mum and dad used to tell me is that we have one mouth and two ears, meaning we're meant to do a lot more listening than we do talking. A bad trait among Jacob is that we just do too much talking and not enough listening. So if we listened for once, if we sat down and listened, heard, and hearkened to the voice of the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, because I can say that our forefathers didn't hearken to the words of the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. So if my forefathers done that, maybe we wouldn't have been in the position that we found ourselves in the transatlantic slave trade. If Jacob today just listened to the teachers of the Israelite Nation Worldwide Ministries, maybe they'd be here today. Maybe they'd have a chance. But they don't, because they forget they have two ears and one mouth. So let that be a lesson that we must do a lot more listening and a lot less talking. Verse 2. Be not rash with thy mouth, and let not thine heart be hasty to utter anything before God. For God is in heaven, and thou upon earth. Therefore, let thy words be few. I have to read that again, because this is not necessarily a problem with Jacob. I'm not going to pin this on Jacob, actually. I'm going to pin this on just people in the world, right? So we'll read this verse again. Be not rash with thy mouth, and let not thine heart be hasty to utter anything before God. For God is in heaven, and thou upon earth. Therefore, let thy words be few. Don't be so impulsive. Think before you speak, think before you act. Now, this verse kind of does strike, I'm not going to say strike a nerve, but it's relatable. I'm not going to say I'm impulsive. I don't think I am. I think sometimes people tell me I take too long to make decisions. So I wouldn't say I'm impulsive per se. But what I will say is casting our minds back to 10 minutes ago when I spoke about my experience before baptism in 2023. And I said to you guys, maybe I needed that year, maybe just that day, because I said to you the day after, I felt like I needed to be here. I felt like, oh my gosh, I felt bad enough to get up, pray to the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, telling him, please spare my life to make it to baptism next year, because I understood what was taken from me. But the verse is saying, be careful with the words you say to the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Make sure you mean it. Make sure you cannot go back. Make sure you understand that there is no plan B. Make sure you understand that when you let words out of your mouth, it's time to burn the ships, right? So when I say it's relatable to me, maybe there was a side of me that was willing to come here and just say what I had to say, because I said to you, 20% of me wanted to just please my parents and please the nation. That's not what we're here for only. I have a duty to maintain. When judgment day comes, the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob isn't going to say to me, did you get baptized for yourself or for the God of Israel, for your brethren? I better have done what I needed to do for myself, right? Because I'm getting judged by myself. I'm not getting judged on the sins and the iniquities and the decisions that Auntie Pansy made or that Elder Harriet made. I'm not going to be doing that, right? I'm going to be questioned and judged on my actions. So I better have been baptized because I want to be baptized. 100%. I better have been baptized because I understand the value of being baptized. There should never have been a percentage where my parents or the way the nation feels would get to me. But I was a young man, and I've grown a lot since then. But best believe that my heart has to be with the nation and is with the nation, because this is where I need to be. And when the God of Israel took that opportunity away from me back then, 5, 6, 7 hours later, I was on my knees begging for another opportunity. Begging for another opportunity. So do not take it for granted. Verse 3. For a dream cometh through the multitude of business, and the fool's voice is known by multitude of words. A few Bible studies back, Friday night Bible studies, I spoke about a show that I love back in the UK. And I know you have it down here. Well, I don't know in Canada, but in the US you had it with your current president, Donald Trump, being the I don't know what you call it, the business owner in that case. And the show's called The Apprentice. I love that show. Amazing show, right? Maybe it's because I'm a bit of a reality TV fiend. So I do like a bit of reality TV, but it's also very interesting because it's about business and money and etc. etc. And there's a lot of lessons you can learn from those shows, right? And there was a few seasons ago, there was an argument between, I think they were the finalists at that point actually. Black lady, again, I think she was Nigerian or something like that, I don't know. And a Gentile man. Not that it matters anyway, it doesn't matter. They're going back and forth, going back and forth, going back and forth. And then the lady gets her interview and she says, you know, just had an argument with this man. He's a fool, he's stupid, etc., etc. She came out with a gem, an absolute gem of a saying. I'm going to try to not butcher it. But she says, a wise man says something because he needs to speak. Sorry, see, I knew I'd butcher it. A wise man says something because he has something to say. A fool says something because they need to say something. Because fools speak too much without thinking about the words that they say, forgetting that when the words come out of your mouth, they can never be taken back. Again, there is no plan B. Be careful with the words that you say. Understand that the vows you say in the altar in front of the Supreme Council and the God of Abraham, the God of Isaac, and the God of Jacob are so powerful, so perfect. Understand that these vows you're making, you're going to get to make once in your life. But also understand that you will be judged on the vows that you make. So be very careful and very sure that that is what you need to do and that is what you want to do, because this is not something to take lightly. We are not a Catholic or Christian denomination whereby we come and dip you into water and tell you to go home. That is not what this is. That is not what this is. There are prerequisites. There are things you need to prove to us to show us that you want to baptize under this fold. We're not welcoming you with open arms just because you're here. We're not begging you to come and baptize with us. We're not begging you to keep the law, statutes, and commandments. That's not our jobs to do. That is not our job to do. Verse 4. When thou vowest a vow unto God, defer not to pay it, for he hath no pleasure in fools. Pay that which thou hast vowed. Keep your vows. Keep your promise. My dad said something very key yesterday at my brother's cycle feast. And he said, you know, the children of Israel, we let the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob down all the time. This is the story of this book. The constant theme. Disappointment by the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. He's annoyed with us. He's angry with us because we keep on breaking the law. We keep on breaking the law. We keep on making him upset. We keep on breaking our vows. But he never, ever lets us down. Never lets us down. I don't want to fall back into that trend. I don't want to fall back into that hole. You know, my forefathers got punished for it because they couldn't keep their word. And we're fighting back now. We're fighting to get back to the position where we should have been because we didn't keep the laws, the statutes, and the commandments. And I don't want to do that again. And I really, really do suggest that any vow you make to the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, that it is kept and that it is not broken. Verse 7. verse 6. Suffer not thy mouth to cause thy flesh to sin. Neither say thou before the angel that it was an error. Wherefore should God be angry at thy voice and destroy the work of thine hands? Don't break your vow and say, accident. No, not with the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Not with the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, because as I said, this covenant that we read about in Genesis 17 is an everlasting covenant, one that is kept to this day. So do not believe that you're going to make a vow to my God and think that you're going to break it and say, oh, accident. Be for real. Verse 7. For in the multitude of dreams and many words there are also divers vanities, but fear thou God. I think our problem is we like to talk the talk, but we struggle to walk the walk. We struggle to walk the walk. And I'm not talking about the Israelite Nation Worldwide Ministries. No, no, no. We walk the walk. I'm talking about Jacob, who think that what they're doing is correct, who think what they're doing is right, but they're failing to walk the walk. And that is exactly what put us in the position that we found ourselves in the 400 years. We talked the talk. We told our Father that he is the creator and that we will not break his word. We will not break his bond. We will not break his covenant. We told our Father that we'll do all these things for him. Saul, I'll give you an example. King Saul was told to go wipe out the Amalekites. I say that name very, not reluctantly. I struggle. It's a bit of a tongue twister. Samuel told him, go wipe out the Amalekites, however you pronounce it. Wipe out everything, right? He took the instruction, being king, went to try and carry it out, talked the talk, probably sweetened Samuel's ears and made him think that, I'm going to do a good job for you. Get to the battleground, they do about 90% of the job. But what did they do? Carry back some of the riches. Fine. But Agag, King Agag, they brought him alive. That wasn't the instruction. The instruction was to wipe out everything and everyone. Everything and everyone. Directly clashing with the worldly view of God being all loving and all caring. My God told Samuel to tell Saul to wipe out everything. I don't know what God you guys are serving or worshipping. That's not my God. But Saul brought back that king. And what did Samuel say? It is better to obey than to sacrifice. In other words, it's better just to follow instruction. Keep your word. You talk the talk, you didn't walk the walk. It's better to do all those things than to go and ask for forgiveness after, because you've done wrong. So let that be a lesson, all children of Israel, children of Jacob. We talk the talk too much, but we struggle to walk the walk. And that's something that we need to change, because words without actions, that's vanity. I'll tell you something. The children of Israel under the Israelite Nation Worldwide Ministries, those words aren't empty. We don't just talk the talk. We walk the walk as well. We walk the walk and we talk the talk. And we talk the talk because we can talk the talk. And that's why, that's because we walk the walk, right? So remember, baptism is not just about getting dipped. These are words, these are vows you're making to my God, to a God that you want to serve. So ensure that you keep those vows. Keep those vows. I'm going to cling on to the point that Officer Doreen and Teacher Matthew made last year. They spoke about the family. And they spoke briefly about the fact that baptism joins you to a nation, not a denomination. If you're being baptized, you are basically being given the privilege, the honor to keep the laws, statutes, and the commandments with us at the Israelite Nation Worldwide Ministries. So for those that are going to be baptized, please keep that in mind. For those that are baptized, please keep that in mind. You've been given the honor. You've been given the privilege to come and keep the feasts and the traditions and the culture of my people, of our people. So do not take that for granted. And remember, you're not baptizing under a denomination. You're not baptizing to join a denomination. You're baptizing to join a nation. Let's think back to John the Baptist. When he was baptizing my forefathers, he didn't send them off to go and chill with the Sadducees and the Pharisees, people that were highly physical and lacked spirituality, highly hypocritical. Go and read Matthew 23. That will tell you just the type of people that they were. Go and read Matthew 23. So the question I have for you today, my brethren, friends, families, thank you so much. Friends, family, aunties, uncles, newcomers, or someone that's just not a part of this nation, is what are you actually waiting for? What are you waiting for? You know, I think, as I said earlier, I've done a lot of growing. Thank you for the water. I've done a lot of growing over the last 3 years, going on 3 years. I'm turning 24 end of July. And it was at the end of July when I was supposed to baptize the first time. So going over 3 years. So I've done a lot of growing over 3 years. And one thing that I've come to realize is that life is too short. And I think that hit home for me at around the last couple of years, because I'm 23. And, you know, when I tell people I'm 23, they're like, oh, you're young. You got loads of time, loads of life to live. I mean, yeah, maybe if I make it to 120 years old, God willing, but there's no guarantee for that. There's no guarantee for that. Right? So when you actually realize that life is just too short to waste, then other questions come into your mind. And hopefully, if you see life at that, in that perspective, as it's too short to waste, then again, the question will be bid. What are you waiting for? What are you waiting for? Now, I'll give another story. It wasn't my experience, actually. It was the experience of a brethren, or soon to be brethren, that, you know, in his 60 odd years, I think he is, he recently got circumcised because he wants to be a part of this nation, and he understands to be dipped in truth, you need to be bound by law. This man came to headquarters a few years ago. You guys might know him, right? And this is a friend of elders from years ago. So he's been baptized, and he messaged me a few weeks before he came to headquarters and said to me, oh, there's a young man, 20 years old. I spoke to him about the nation, and it's looking like he wants to come. I was like, oh yeah, great, that's cool. And you know what? It's nice because he's 20, like, you know, he's rise age. And you know, we could probably do with more young people in the nation, right? The young people in the nation are amazing in my eyes. I'm part of them. I'm one of them. But, you know, it never hurts to have any more young people. It's also very rare for a 20-year-old to come and leave what he's known, leave his parents and come join the nation. So I thought, you know what, bring him. Let's meet him, I guess. He never came. So I spoke to this man that is hoping to baptize, and I said, oh, what happened to him? Why didn't he come? This man doesn't live in London, by the way. He lives in Bristol, which is southwest of England, I believe, right? Close to Wales. And I said, what happened to him? He said, oh, I told him I got circumcised, and he just went AWOL. a part of me doesn't like blame him. A part of me doesn't blame him because if you're 20 years old, you don't know the truth, you don't really understand the scriptures enough. All you hear is circumcision, you run away, right? So I laughed. I did laugh, and then he explained it to me, and I said to him, "Okay, so like, what happened? Like, he's gone AWOL, but like, what?" And the man said to me, "Oh, well, he showed me a scripture saying you don't need to circumcise." I said to him, "Oh, what scripture was it?" I believe it was Galatians somewhere where Paul mentions Titus, the Greek, not needing to circumcise. Uh, and I said to this man, "Okay, does say that, but context is everything." And it's important that we remember that Paul is speaking about a Greek, a Gentile, who, yes, did not need to circumcise. But you, as a Jacob, even now, today, if you want to join the fold of the Israelite Nation Worldwide Ministries, you need to circumcise. Genesis 17. You jumped all the way to Galatians, didn't even read the first book. Genesis 17 says it. So remember who he's talking to. He's talking to a Gentile, or talking about a Gentile man who then did not need to circumcise. When they were being grafted in, they did not need to be circumcised because they weren't under the law, because they were only given grace through us as the faith, right? So yeah, he didn't need to be circumcised, but you, as one, a Jacob, and two, someone that wants to join the nation in 2025, you need to circumcise. You need to be under the law. So again, I'll throw my question back at you, the audience. What are you waiting for? I've spoken a little bit about the transatlantic slave trade. I've spoken about Deuteronomy 28 a little bit. I never actually mentioned Deuteronomy 28, but I spoke about it a little bit. And the reason why is because it is such an important part of our history, right? It's very important that we understand where we went wrong so that we know where to go and what changes to make. The scriptures say we need to be like children and humble ourselves so that we can improve in every aspect. So yes, the transatlantic slave trade had my great-grandparents from my dad's side. My mum's side is not actually Jacob, not black, full stop. From my dad's side, my great-grandparents and before them, yeah, they were partakers of the slave trade. They were slaves. But it is important for us to understand that during those times, they beat the culture, the traditions, and the value of the Israelite out of them and turned them to Christianity. But I am here today, being born in the nation, so maybe I'm not a good example. But Elder Freddie's here today. Elder Harriet's here today. Auntie Pansy's here today. Our AV team are here today. All right? They will tell you themselves. I'm not here to air out anybody's laundry, but they'll tell you themselves. They probably lived a past life where it wasn't anything to do with Israel. But they were given the chance and they're here today, worshipping the God of Abraham, the God of Isaac, and the God of Jacob. So just because you're not where you are, or just because you're not in the nation today, that doesn't mean that you can't be a part of the nation. That doesn't mean you don't have a chance at all. That doesn't mean that my God is not going to welcome you as long as you show us that you actually want to be here and that you meet the prerequisites, because we're not, again, a Catholic denomination that just wants to have anybody and everybody there. They just want to have strength in numbers, but we want to have strength in spirituality. So let's go to Luke 15, and I'm going to show you of a father that understands that their son done something wrong, but they were welcomed back with open arms. So let's go to Luke 15, and we're going to read from verse 11. Let me just get a sip of water. It's actually 29, 30 degrees in Canada today. There's aircon blowing, but I'm not the coolest. So verse 11, it says, and he said, A certain man had 2 sons, and the younger of them said to his father, Father, give me the portion of good that falleth to me. And he divided unto them his living. So there's 2 sons that got money, any sort of commodity that would allow them to trade off and use it to get places. Let's just say money for the lack of a better term, for, I guess, relatability to today, right? Verse 13, and not many days after the younger son gathered all together and took his journey into a far country, and there wasted his substance with riotous living. He splurged his money. He blew his bag, as we like to say as the young millennials. He blew his bag. And when he had spent all, there arose a mighty famine in the land, and he began to be in want. And he went and joined himself to a citizen of that country, and he sent him into the fields to feed swine. And he would fain have filled his belly with the husks that the swine did eat, and no man gave unto him. So this man, just for a roundup, so a little synopsis. This man was given his portion, as I said, let's call it money for today's terms, I guess. And in being given his money, he done what our elder calls the Negro move. And what he means by that is, children of Jacob today, once they make money, it's, okay, I'm going to go and buy this, I'm going to go and buy that, and I'm going to go and show the world that I'm up, or I'm making money, I'm in a good financial position. But every other culture and every other people on this earth, when they get a large portion of money, or when they get to a good prestige, they build on it. But that is not what that's not what Jacob do. Hence the reason why our elder says, when you make your money, don't turn into I'll let you finish the term. And that is what this young man done, right? He got his money, splurged it, and by coincidence, a famine's hit. So he's struggling. Verse 17. And when he had came to himself, he said, how many hired servants of my father's have bread enough and to spare, and I perish with hunger? And I will arise and go to my father, and I will say to him, Father, I have sinned against heaven and before thee, and I am no more worthy to be called thy son. Make me as one of thy hired servants. So this man has installed the humility DLC. He's found his humility, understood where he went wrong, and said, I'm going to go to my father and tell him I went wrong. And I'm not even asking for me to be taken care of like his son. Despite the fact that I am his son, I'm not even going to ask him to take care of me like I'm his son. Just have me as one of his servants, because it's way better being one of his servants than it is to be where I am now. So just have me as one of your servants, please. I'm sorry, I know what I've done is wrong. And he's opened his eyes and become like that child I spoke about earlier. Verse 20, and he arose and came to his father, but when he was yet a great way off, his father saw him and had compassion, and ran and fell on his neck and kissed him. And the son said unto him, Father, I've sinned against heaven and in thy sight, and I'm no more worthy to be called thy son. But the father, pay close attention. But the father said unto his servants, bring forth the best robe and put it on him, and put a ring on his hand and shoes on his feet, and bring hither the fatted calf and kill it. Let us eat and be merry, for this my son was dead, and alive is he again, and he was lost and is found. And they began to be merry. So again, I'm going to throw the question out. What are you waiting for? What are you waiting for? It's fine It's fine to, be in a position where you are now. And you know what? Right now, I'm not really speaking to my brethren under the Israelite Nation Worldwide Ministries. I'm talking to the wider audience. So please, pay close attention. It's fine to be in a position where you are now not keeping the traditions of Israel. But understand that there's a reason as to why you found this video. And there's a reason why I'm asking you the question, what's taking you so long? I've just read verse 23 to you. And I'll read it again, even verse 22. Showing that if you install humility, if you think back to the words that I spoke or that I read in Ecclesiastes 5, I think verse 1 or verse 2, where it spoke about hearing or listening more. And I said to you, when I was younger, my parents taught me or told me that I have 2 of these and 1 of these, telling me that I must listen more than I speak. So if you, I'm going to call you my friend for now, because I said I'm not speaking to my brethren at this point in time. If you, my friend, are keeping the traditions of the world, are a friend of the world, and know what you're doing is wrong, because I've told you now what you're doing is wrong. The scriptures have told you right now that what you're doing is wrong. If you know these things now, and I've just shown you that my Father will take care of you as long as you submit to him, as long as you sign that covenant through circumcision, not through what Paul said to the Gentile, through circumcision that our Father told Abraham. If you sign that covenant and you become like one of us under the laws, the statutes, and the commandments, like he did with our elder Freddie, like he did with our elder Harry and our auntie Pansy, like he did with a lot of brethren that were ex-pastors once upon a time, he will take care of you. Elder Freddie's looking at me right now as if he's not one of them. I don't know if he was. He'll have to tell you when he comes up here. He has to tell you when I come up here. I don't know. Oh, Lennox. Oh. There you go. So this one's not for Lennox. Listen to the word and now he's here. He found his way, right? But as I said, my brethren are testimonials to this. They lived the life that was friendly to the world, friendly to earth, a way of the world, and didn't keep the laws, statutes, and commandments or the cultures or the traditions of my forefathers. But they're here today, and my God is taking care of them. So why can't it be you, number one? And 2, what are you waiting for? So again, I'll go back to the title as I need to wrap up. Dipped in truth, bound by law. They don't work one in hand together, because you cannot be dipped in truth if you ain't bound by the law. You cannot be baptized under the Israelite Nation Worldwide Ministries if you are not under the law. I said to you, we're not like a Catholic or Christian denomination begging you to come in. I would love my nation to grow, but with people that want to be here, not just people that are just here for giggles. So I say again, you cannot be dipped in truth unless you are bound by the law. And to be bound by the law, you need to be of this covenant, as our elder spoke about earlier. You need to be circumcised. You need to follow the prerequisites that the Supreme Council and our elder decide to grant you that baptism. You need to prove to us that you want to be here. You need to prove to us that you're going to be a worthy soldier of my God and of my brethren's God, because my God doesn't need numbers. He doesn't need numbers. How many times did the children of Israel go to war, low in number, but with the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob? What happened with King Jehoshaphat? I mentioned him yesterday in my speech to my brother. I believe it was 3 nations coming together. I'm okay if that's not for me. 3 nations coming together to come and take out my people. 3 nations joining together to take out my forefathers. King Jehoshaphat heard, found out, prayed to the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, and made the nation fast and pray to the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. And what happened? The children of Israel didn't lift a finger, but the battle became God's battle. So the God of Israel doesn't just need numbers. He needs people that are willing to work for him. He needs people that want to be here, not people that are just here to maybe get saved or are just here because they like, I don't know, the way we do things. No. You need to be here because you want to be here and you want to work with us to build the house of the God of Abraham, the God of Isaac, and the God of Jacob. And if you look in the mirror and you think that's you, then I would suggest you reach out to somebody to make sure you're here, baptized under the Israelite Nation Worldwide Ministries. So I hope you took from my message today. Remember, dipped in truth, bound by law. You cannot be dipped in truth if you're not bound by the law. But you need to start from the beginning and bind yourself by the law. Circumcise and be like us under the covenant. And with that, I say, peace.
Peace and good afternoon, and welcome to the Israelite Nation Worldwide Ministries. I am Elder Freddie. Thank you all for being here, for joining us. Those that are here live and those that are visiting us online. Before I get into today's message, I'm going to read a psalm just to get ourselves started and to get ourselves acclimated. Oh, give thanks unto the Lord, for he is good, because his mercy endureth forever. Let Israel now say that his mercy endureth forever. Let the house of Aaron now say that his mercy endureth forever. Let them now that fear the Lord say that his mercy endureth forever. I called upon the Lord in distress. The Lord answered me and set me in a large place. The Lord is on my side. I will not fear. What can man do unto me? The Lord taketh my part with them that help me. Therefore shall I see my desire upon them that hate me. It is better to trust in the Lord than to put confidence in man. It is better to trust in the Lord than to put confidence in princes. All nations compass me about, but in the name of the Lord I will destroy them. They compass me about, yea, they compass me about, but in the name of the Lord I will destroy them. They compass me about like bees. They are quenched as a fire of thorns. For in the name of the Lord I will destroy them. Thou hast thrust through at me that I might fall, but the Lord helped me. The Lord is my strength and song, and is become my salvation. The voice of rejoicing and salvation is in the tabernacles of the righteous. The right hand of the Lord doeth valiantly. The right hand of the Lord is exalted. The right hand of the Lord doeth valiantly. I shall not die, but live, and declare the works of the Lord. The Lord has chastened me sore, but he hath not given me over until death. Open to me the gates of righteousness. I will go into them, and I will praise the Lord. This gate of the Lord into which the righteous shall enter. I will praise thee, for thou hast heard me, and art become my salvation. The stone which the builders refused is become the headstone of the corner. This is the Lord's doing. It is marvelous in our eyes. This is the day which the Lord hath made. We will rejoice and be glad in it. Save now, I beseech thee, O Lord. O Lord, I beseech thee, send now prosperity. Blessed be he that cometh in the name of the Lord. We have blessed you out of the house of the Lord. God is the Lord, which hath showed us light. Bind the sacrifice with cords, even unto the horns of the altar. Thou art my God, and I will praise thee. Thou art my God, and I will exalt thee. O give thanks unto the Lord, for he is good, for his mercy endureth forever. Again, welcome everyone, and thank you so much again for being here. I want to take some time, first of all, just to thank my nephew Levi for the wonderful message that he did provide. That was a message that near and dear to most, if not all of us that are here in the Israelite Nation Worldwide Ministries. I have to say that Levi is a very special child. At least when I remember him, he was a very, very unique child. When I first met Levi, I believe he must have been about maybe 4 or 5 years old. And it was on my visit to the UK to visit the brethren there for I believe it was the first time that I set foot in the United Kingdom. And it was a very unique experience, much like how it is right now um, in Canada. We're currently experiencing right now in Toronto a heat wave. And when I was there for the first time in the UK, there was a heat wave as well too. So it's very similar. And to have my nephew Levi here presenting a message, a message dipped in truth, bound by law. A very interesting thing has taken place here. I find it very interesting. What we do here at the Israelite Nation Worldwide Ministries is that we teach teachers. It's not students that are here, but we do teach teachers. And for those to move on and to carry on and to lift up this nation. And you are seeing an example of that today with the young man that was just here before me. So I do wish for those of us that are out there to really and truly give him a round of applause and to just let him know that he is exceptional when it comes to delivering this message. An exceptional young man that he is. I remember the eyes of Levi looking up at me because he was about maybe this big at the time. The eyes were looking up at me, and that's one of the things that I remember the most. These big, dark, brown eyes looking up at me. And at the time, he was just hanging around and just running up and down the place in the center in the UK, and one of his best friends, but he was having the time of his life. And to think that not so many years later, how he has grown and how he has taken so much to the doctrine and to the life that he lives. It is, for me, as I'm a parent as well too, but to see our children grow up in this truth and to see how they have taken so much to the word and so much to who they are, it is truly, truly unbelievable. And I thank the God of Abraham, the God of Isaac, and the God of Jacob for the wonderful gift that he has given unto us with Levi and the young men, the young ones that are coming up in this nation. It just, it fills you with joy, and it fills you with hope, a hope that sometimes as an older person, and I do have to say that, sometimes you have to wonder, because when you look out there and you see the youth of today, you have to like really, really wonder, is there a future for our children? Is there a future for our people? But when you see the young people in this Israelite Nation Worldwide Ministries take hold and grasp and just run with it, you just know that there is truly a God in Israel. There is a God in Israel. The message that we're dealing with right now is dealing with a subject matter that is near, as I said, and dear to all of us here at the Israelite Nation. Because I do know that not only do we have significant times throughout the year? We have our Passover, which is the most significant time. We have our 7th month, the month of Ethanim. But for most of us that are here, one of the most joyous occasions is our baptism. And I'm going to touch on that in this message that we have today, just to deal with how things are for us as baptism. Baptism for us, it is like, if you're a parent, you would understand this. Baptism for us is like having a child born into the nation and born into this life. And it is one of those moments that, similar to a delivery, in the delivery room or in an emergency type situation, everyone scrambles like a unit and everything puts itself into place, is organized and orchestrated, and then at the end of the day, you have brand new souls that have been added to the family. So that's the joy that we have when it comes to baptism. But I do have to caution you, very much like my nephew said, baptism for us, it's the baptism. We understand here at the Israelite Nation Worldwide Ministries that it's not something that is just readily available. Again, I'm going to bring the analogy of giving birth, because giving birth is something that it takes time. It's a process. It's not something that just happens right away. And very much so, like when baptism takes place for us, it is a process. You just don't come into the Israelite nation and say that I want to be baptized and I want to be brethren. It's not like that. As a matter of fact, we try to tell people, you know what? Take your time, because baptism it's a process that we don't readily just open our arms and say, come on in and be baptized. As Levi said, we are not the Catholic institution. We are not a quote unquote organization or a body of people that just open up the stage and there's water underneath and want to dunk people in and call it a day. Whew. It's not easy to be a part of this family. And I'll tell you why. It's not easy because we're not looking for numbers. We're not looking for the multitude. We are looking for a particular person. We are looking for a unique individual. We are scouring the earth. We are scouring everywhere to find particular people whom the God of Abraham, the God of Isaac, and the God of Jacob has selected, preordained to be part of our family. You just can't come in and be a member of our family. We need the best of the best, the creme de la creme. We need the top topper. That's what we're looking for. We're not looking for common breed chicken. We're not looking for anybody that's out on the street. You have to be of a particular chosen elk to be part of this family, because you have to mold and marry into the spirit that resides here at 202 Bentworth, and it's far and few between. It's not just anyone who can come into the Israelite nation and just sup. We know that, right? You can't just sit down and break bread with us. You can't just come in and be a part of the family. It takes time, because we have to know that you are right with us, with the spirit that resides here. So yes, we are somewhat gatekeepers, and I think we do have a other gatekeepers. And you know what? I didn't actually mean for that to happen. It's just the way it came out. We are the gatekeepers to the God of Abraham, the God of Isaac, and the God of Jacob. That's who we are. We make sure that those that are coming in to be introduced to our Father, know the rules of the house. Do not come in the house unless you remove your shoes at the door. Wash your hands, and then you can come in and we can talk. But even prior to that, it's a process because we just don't let anybody into our house. I'm sorry, that's just how we are. Dipped in truth is who we are. And to be a part of our family, it's just not as simple as what they say it is, because we are dealing with the children of Israel. Do you know that pretty much just about everyone wants to be a child of Jacob? Everyone wants to be the children of Israel. There is not anyone that I know of who does not want to be. You know this because of the multitude of people who read our book, the multitude of people who read our Bible. They read our Bible because they want to be us. They read our stories because they are inspired by our stories. They read about our forefathers because they want to be our forefathers. They want to be who we are. They want to be who we are. And they will go to extreme measures to try and replace us. But let me tell you something. If it's not for you, it's just not for you. It's not meant to be. Do you know how many hundreds and thousands of years they have tried to keep us from knowing who we are? To keep us from knowing our name, to keep us from knowing our God, to keep us from knowing our culture. The lengths that they have gone to, it is beyond belief. When we read in Psalm 83, when they say, "Come and let us cut them off from being a nation," I don't think we have yet to come to the realization and the actualization of what they have done to us as a people to prevent us from being who we are. So when you hear someone profess to be a Christian and they identify themselves as a child of Jacob, or somebody who was born of the diaspora, or in other words, somebody who is a descendant of slaves, anybody that looks like me, let me put it to you that way. Anyone that looks like me, and it doesn't matter to me whether you are a child of Ham, if you don't even know what that is, if you're a child of Shem, even if you are a Gentile and you don't know, if you know what they did to us in order for us to become Christians, if you actually knew that you would never ever in your life utter those words saying, "I am a Christian." You would never, if you understood what they did to us as a people. What they did to us as a people, if you understood that, you would never, ever utter those words. It is the most ignorant thing that you can ever say. As a matter of fact, the people who know and have knowledge and understanding, when they see you sitting down on those Sunday mornings, when they see you proudly saying that you are a Christian, you don't know how much they laugh. You don't know how much they laugh because you have become the laughing stock of the entire world. The entire world, both seen and unseen, is laughing at you when you profess to be a Christian. You have absolutely no idea. But let me say this. Levi, you went into quite a bit, and I don't even have to say much, really and truly. But I'm going to say a few things because I just can't get over it. You used to be shorter than me at one point in time. You did. You used to, but I am so proud. I am so proud of you to see the man that you have become and to see the way that you represent not only this nation, but the way that you represent yourself. It's something that how many of us respect themselves? How many of us? It's a question. I know that respect is something that we speak about, and usually it's from the context of, well, I want to be respected. You know what I mean? Usually we have that saying that I don't get any respect or I want to be respected. But has anyone ever thought to themselves to respect themselves? Anyone? Probably not. Probably not. But respect of self, respecting yourself, it is of the utmost importance. The reason why I say that, the reason why I say you have to respect yourself, think of it. Just for a brief moment. Just think. Why respect yourself? Why respect yourself? I'm gonna read something here. Uh it says here in Exodus from the fourth chapter, the 21st verse. And the Lord said unto Moses, when thou goest to return into Egypt, see that thou do all those wonders before Pharaoh, which I have put in thine hand. But I will harden his heart, that he shall not let the people go. And thou shalt say unto Pharaoh, thus saith the Lord, Israel is my son, even my firstborn. That sends chills down my spine. Israel is my son, even my firstborn. And when you come into the realization of who you are, respect yourself. Respect who you are. Respect the fact that God Almighty Himself has said that you are my son, even my firstborn. So you owe it to yourself to respect yourself, because the God who created the heavens, the God who created the earth, the God that put the breath of life into man and said, live, breathe, live, that God chose you. He chose you to keep His laws, His statutes, and His commandments. So respect yourself. Respect yourself enough to know that I respect myself so much, I am not going to disrespect the people who God chose to be His people. Then you start to get an understanding as to who you really and truly are. Because we are few and far between. There is not many of us on this planet. There's not many of us who have been called by the God of Abraham, the God of Isaac, and the God of Jacob. There is not many. I could rattle off all the people that I know because they're my brethren, so I know who they are. So I know the people who the God of Israel chose. I know the people who should respect yourself. Respect yourself so much. And these are the elements. These are the things that we come to understand. And the reason why we understand these things is because, you know what? We have a great teacher. We have the most amazing teacher. Our Elder Shadrach, the founder and the creator of this nation. The person who put this nation together has taught us well, and we go by his teachings. We understand that all of these things that we have been given, he has taken his time to teach us the word that is here. And this is why you always have to respect your elder. If you don't understand it, I mean, this is why. Respect yourself so much that you would never, ever, ever in your life think to disrespect your elder. Because this is what it's all about. We are not a regular set of people. We're not. Most of us don't understand the gifts that we've been given. We don't understand the magnitude of what has been gifted unto us. And it is a gift, it is a blessing. To be able to understand this book, I can't stress it enough. Do you know that our book, and when you get the opportunity, I urge everyone to go out there and to research this. Do you know that our book is the only credible history book on the planet? The only credible history book on the planet. Bar none. Nothing can be compared unto it. Not even the almighty Egyptians can compare unto it. Because when you start to get into the chronology of all the historical documents, and when you check into the history of the Egyptians, their chronology is completely off. It is completely off. But the only book, the only source of true history is the book of the Israelites. The book of the Israelites is the only source of history. Everything else has to be measured by this standard. So most of us don't understand that. We don't. But I urge you to research it, and you will find that there is not another book that was ever created, another document that was ever printed or made that can even come close to what we have here. And we take so much for granted. We read about scriptures, but it is also a history book. It is our history book. It is also, it's our manual. This is our book of life. This is the book that tells us what to eat and what not to eat, what to wear and what not to wear. My goodness. When you start to understand who and what you are and what it is you're coming to, we haven't even scratched the surface yet. We haven't even scratched the surface, but to be walking around with so much truth, the only God, and everyone wants to be you, but you don't want to be you. You know what I mean? It is the most bizarre thing. Everyone wants your identity, but you don't want your identity. Those are the people that I'm speaking to out there who deny who they are. We come across them each and every day in our lives, in our travels, in our going to and fro. It is amazing the amount of people that do not want to be who they are. Israel is my son, even my firstborn. And it is that time of the year. It's that time of the year when the process is coming to a close. That process that I talk about is being a member or being part of this family. Unfortunately for the young ones like Levi, you didn't have much of a choice. You had no choice, which is a good thing. You had no choice. You were born into it. But for most of us, but I do have to say I'm kind of like you know, because unlike the deacons that we have here and the pastors and some of the preachers that we had, I was never one of those things. I didn't have the opportunity to be a deacon or a pastor or, you know, or a reverend or anything like that. I came into the nation at a very young age. I came in, very young. I don't say too much as to how young I was, but let's just say I've spent most, if not all, of my adult life in this nation. I have. So I didn't get the opportunity like some of us to be wilding out there, and dipping into that shrine and being baptized there, or sorry, dunked here and dunked there and dunked all over the place. Here a dunk, there a dunk, everywhere a dunk. No. But I do believe that when I was a child, I believe I was christened in some Seventh-day Adventist shrine someplace in the foothills of Hanover, Jamaica. So you know what, man? What's meant for you is meant for you. And if you're to be here, if you are to be here, if you are to make your way to the Israelite Nation Worldwide Ministries, and should you ever make it through the process of becoming a brethren, because as I said, we just don't want anybody being brethren. You got to be a cut above the rest. You just can't be just anyone. We're looking for very special and unique people to join our family. We're not looking for followers. We're looking for people who can, you know, teach and lead, but in order to do so, there is a process. I mean, males, you do have to be circumcised. Like, we don't sit and break bread with uncircumcised. It should be standard. I mean, these things should be known. If you read this book, which many of us claim that we do, it should be understood. But everybody reads our book, but yet does not want to comply. You know, I think sometimes we should be like Trump. If you don't comply, just press a button and then blow people up. I mean, I digress. That is a piece of work. Tell you, man, he is a piece of work. No, you have to be circumcised because it is the law. The law, first and foremost, if you are a male, in order to inherit the covenant, to be a part of the agreement, you have to be circumcised. And I don't know how is it that anyone could ever read this Bible and think that as a male, you shouldn't have to be circumcised. Like, somebody please make it make sense. Deacon, Elder Brian, Lewis, somebody make it make sense. How is it possible that you could read this book and not know and understand that circumcision is a real thing? Like, even if you didn't know, you would know that there's something called circumcision. Like, if you read this book, you can't escape it. Whether you're in the Old Testament or in the New Testament, you cannot escape the fact that circumcision is a real thing. You have to keep the laws, the statutes, and the commandments. You have to, or else you have no part in this book, which is why I honestly don't understand how some of my brethren do it, but I have a very, very, my tolerance to Christianity is probably as tall as I am. Not very tall. I don't have a high tolerance for Christianity. And my brethren will tell you all the time. Sometimes I get almost like a Officer Doreen stage. You ever seen Officer Doreen? She's hyped. She gets hyped. Sometimes that's kind of like me when it comes to Christianity. Not so much Christian people, but just Christianity in I can't stand Christianity. It's to the point where I actually hate Christianity. Not the people, but just the philosophy of Christianity. I hate it with the utmost passion, because if you understood what it did to our people and what it continues to do to our people, you would understand that, yeah, I don't hold back anything. I go for the juggler. Soon as somebody mentions that whole I'm a Christian thing, which includes my mom. Like, yeah, my mom, yeah, I don't, and I love my mom. But when she starts talking that whole Christianity thing, ooh, sorry, mom, but I have to, it's I don't hold back when it comes to Christianity. I do not. So I don't get into debates. I don't get into the topics of discussion because I let Christianity representatives know if off the gate how the conversation is going to go. I am the Israelite. I am the teacher. You are the student if you call yourself a Christian. The last person I had to say that to, he was 78 years old. And I had to let him know. I actually don't care how long you think you've been reading that book. If you are a Christian, I told him, I'm here to teach you. I don't care how old you are. I don't care where you've been or what you say. I'm here as the Israelite to teach you. You're not teaching me. And that conversation got shut down real quick. I don't get into those back and forth debate thing because I just can't. I tell you, I'll tell you why I can't. We move forward. Exodus chapter 14. How much time do I got some time. Good, good, good. Exodus chapter 14. Exodus chapter 14, verse 10. And when Pharaoh drew nigh, the children of Israel lifted up their eyes, and behold, the Egyptians marched after them, and they were sore afraid. And the children of Israel cried out unto the Lord. This is our people. If you don't have any idea or any clue about our people, this is the children of Israel. They haven't changed. This incident took place thousands of years ago. Thousands of years ago. I don't think we understand when we say thousands of years ago, but this is a very long time. And they said unto Moses, verse 11, because there were no graves in Egypt, hast thou taken us away to die in the wilderness? Wherefore hast thou dealt thus with us, to carry us forth out of Egypt? This is our people. This is the children of Israel at their very best. And to further boot, is this not the word that we did tell thee in Egypt, saying, let us alone, that we may serve the Egyptians? For it had been better for us to serve the Egyptians than we should die in the wilderness. Ungrateful. Ungrateful. Okay, so let me get this. We're leaving Egypt. 2 million people. This is something that has never happened before in the history of all mankind and will never happen again. 2 million people. 2 million people moving out of one place with one person, and they get to this point because 10 miracles have already passed. Where you saw the firstborn of Pharaoh, firstborn of Egypt, firstborn of cattle, firstborn of sheep, oxen, goats, chicken, cats, dogs. Yes, Christopher, even the family dog. Like everything, firstborn of Pharaoh dead. So we are past that. We are at the brink now of the Red Sea. Is this not the word that we did tell thee in Egypt? Since when? Saying, nobody forced them to come. Nobody forced you to come, but you saw the opportunity and that freedom was coming your way. You left on your own accord. It was great when you borrowed from the Egyptians. It was great. Let us alone, that we may serve the Egyptians. For had it not been better for us to serve the Egyptians, that we should die in the wilderness? And Moses said unto the people, Fear not, stand and see the salvation of the Lord, which he shall show to you today. For the Egyptians whom you have seen today, ye shall not see them again no more forever. The Lord shall fight for you, and ye shall hold your peace. And the Lord said unto Moses, Wherefore criest thou unto me? Speak unto the children of Israel that they go forward. Go forward. Go forward. But lift up thy rod and stretch out thine hand over the sea and divide it, and the children of Israel shall go on dry ground through the midst of the sea. Amen and amen. Now you know why and understand people want to be us. To be able to stand there on a day when a man lifted up his rod and divided the sea, and the ground was dry, and 2 million people, their herds, their children, everyone went through the Red Sea. Now you know why they want to be who you are. Has such a thing ever been done? Never. Never. It gets to the point where they say, oh, well, it never really happened. You know what I'm saying? Oh, it never happened. But this book is the book that you have to swear on to tell the truth. To tell the truth. The whole truth. Imagine that. You're standing in the court of law in the presence when you are to be judged by man. And this book, our story, our lives, our kings, our mothers, our fathers, our story is the book that you have to swear on to tell the truth. Doesn't that send chills down your spine? Doesn't it? I'm telling you, man, to know who you are, and even if you're not, don't you want to know the truth? Don't you want to be a part of these people? I know I would if I wasn't one, but thank the God of Israel, I am home. I am home. I am home between these 66 books. I am home. Do you know what it's like growing up not knowing who you are? Not knowing who you are. Like not even understanding what you are. Like I know because I was there. I was there. From the time that I was born up until age 21, I had no clue. Absolutely no clue. Blessed are thy eyes, Levi, because you grow up knowing who you are. No, your name is Levi. My gosh, man. Thank you, God of Israel. Thank you so much. Because we didn't grow up knowing who we are. Like to have that stripped away from you and ripped away from you, beaten away from you, killed, raped away from you, not even knowing who you are people with no name. We are the only people on the earth who don't have a name. Even the people in the very back jungles know who they are. Even the indigenous people, the native people, the people that are on the far-reaching islands know who they are. They have some form of culture, but we don't have nothing. Absolutely nothing. to the point where you just call yourself black. Do you know what it means just to be called and to black? Black is a terminology in the legal system that denotes that you are just dead. Like you have nothing. Black. Please stop calling me black. Don't call me black anymore. I am a brownish hue. I am brown. Okay? Don't call me black. Please don't call me black anymore. I am an Israelite. Don't call me black. Okay? My skin tone, my skin color is not black. Look. Do you see this? This is the color black. Do I look this color? I know I can get pretty dark in the summer. As a matter of fact, one time I got so dark, it was the first time we went to Mexico. My family laughed at me because they said, "You look red." I got so dark that I look red. That was the funniest thing. But I kept that. But I'm telling you, I am not black. I am a brown hue. And I am an Israelite because black is the most negative thing. Not even a name, not even nothing, just black. Don't know. I am a human being. I am an Israelite and I am brown. Very dark brown. Thank you very much. So this day forward, Deacon, Lewis, Elder Brian, thank you very. Oh, somebody's chestnut? Who? Somebody's a rich chestnut? That's good. I like that. But don't ever refer to yourself as black. I am not black. I am an Israelite. Because black is the most negative thing. My goodness. I digress. I'm here supposed to be talking about baptism, but you have to excuse me because sometimes it's hard for me not to speak about so many things because it's just that's what this is. This is life. Life is in between the pages of this book, and it is the Israelite life. And we say that with not being pompous, but it's with pride. It's with intelligence. It's with understanding. Because in order for you to understand this book, you have to tap into the spirit of understanding. It's not enough to have knowledge, but in order to get there, you have to go through the God of Abraham, the God of Isaac, and the God of Jacob. We speak boldly here at the Israelite nation. We actually don't make any excuses for it. Neither do we seek approval, and we don't need anyone to really and truly, give us the nudge to say, yeah, you can say that. No, this is our book. And once you have that understanding, no one can fool you anymore because God knows we have been made fools of for a very, very long time. We have. I want to talk about something in here that is spoken about in the book of John. How does this relate and why does it relate? Let's read this. John chapter 4, from the 17th verse, it says, "The woman answered and said, I have no husband. Jesus said unto her, Thou hast well said, I have no husband, for thou hast had 5 husbands. And he whom thou hast is not thy husband, in that says thou truly. The woman saith unto him, Sir, I perceive that thou art a prophet. Our fathers worshipped in this mountain, and ye say that in Jerusalem there is a place where men ought to worship. Jesus saith unto her, Woman, believe me, the hour cometh when ye shall neither in this mountain nor yet at Jerusalem worship the Father. Ye worship ye know not what. We know what we worship, for salvation is of the Jews. But the hour cometh, and now is when the true worshipers shall worship the Father in spirit and in truth. The Father seeketh such as to worship him. God is a spirit, and they that worship him must worship him in spirit and in truth. That is very, very important. Why is that so important? Why is that so important? John chapter 4, verse 24. Remember that verse. Remember that chapter. Because this is a spiritual nation. This is a nation that is led by the Spirit of the God of Abraham, the God of Isaac, and the God of Jacob. Most people, if not all people, don't understand the importance of the Spirit. They don't. I remember one time having a conversation with my mom, and she said, "Why you guys always talk about spirit, spirit, spirit so much?" It's like, well, Mom, think of it. When you think of it, because I know most black people, I have to use that term, most black people are afraid of dopey. They're afraid of spirit. They're afraid of ghosts. Isn't that something? Think of it. Most black people, if not all black people, and I'm using this just so that you can identify as to who I'm talking about, they are afraid of ghosts. But we just read in John chapter 4, verse 24, and these are the same people that say they love God so much. The same people. We just read that God is a spirit, and those that worship him must worship him in spirit and in truth. Isn't that something? It's like a contradiction of like, what is going on with these people? My people, my people. I love my people. But man, oh man, oh man. Do you see what Christianity has done to us? This is what Christianity has done to us. When you are born, you receive your spirit. When you are baptized in the Israelite Nation Worldwide Ministries, you receive your spirit. That you do. And all the elements of birth are there at your baptism. I'm not going to get into detail, but it's all there. It's all there. It's all good. Thank you, Elder Shadrach. Thank you so much for all that you have taught us, all that you have gone through, all that we have gone through. God is a spirit. The God of Abraham, the God of Isaac, and the God of Jacob is a spirit, the spirit of all spirits. And in order to worship that spirit, it has to be done in spirit and in truth. Not love, not love, but in truth, because he is the spirit of truth. Our God is the spirit of truth. This is great, man. I don't know if it's hitting home or not. I don't know if people are realizing what's happening. But man, as you prepare yourself at your baptism to receive your spirit, there is a process. It's like that whole pregnancy process. And by the time the year comes around and you're prepared and you're ready, and you everything that you have to do, it's with the Spirit. And when you utter your words, and when you utter your oath, and when you say what you have to say, that's your spirit. That is your spirit, and the witnesses are there. This is why we take it serious. And if you don't love the spirit of truth, you're not going to love what we do here. because you're not going to connect with the Spirit of truth. The Spirit of truth, it stands above all else. Most people can't even comprehend what we're doing here. Most people cannot comprehend. We are the Israelite Nation Worldwide Ministries. We read the Old Testament and we go straight through into the Second Testament. Some people can't do that. You know that? Some people can't do that. We can do that because the Spirit of truth resides with us. Man, I can glide through into that Second Testament like I'm on roller skates and skates. Like how we play hockey up here on the ice, Elder Brian. Elder Brian, you guys ever seen Elder Brian on skates? Oh man, have you ever there's nothing more graceful than Elder Brian on a pair of skates. I'm telling you. Nothing more graceful. John chapter 3, and if you know me, this is my favorite, one of my favorites. I couldn't let this day pass without me reading John chapter 3. There was a man of the Pharisees named Nicodemus, a ruler of the Jews. The same came to Jesus by night and said unto him, Rabbi. Psst, Rabbi. You know I love this story. As he came to him by night, he came at night. We know that thou art a teacher from God, because no man can do these miracles except that God be with him. We know that. This is our people, always looking for miracles and signs and looking for the physical objects, looking to see if you got a Bentley outside, looking to see if you got the whip outside, like just looking for earthly things, looking for all that earthly things. We know that no man can do these miracles except that God be with him. Jesus answered and said unto him, Verily, 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 I say unto you. I can see this scene. I visualize this scene because he's coming by night and he's sneaking and he's Nicodemus and, like just because he's the ruler of the Jews. Do you know what it was to be in these times a ruler of the Jews? You have no idea. One of these days, we're going to do an in-depth study, and we're going to get into the mentality and the environment of the people in these times. Oh, boy. Verily, verily, I say unto thee, except a man be born again, he cannot enter the kingdom of God. God. I am quite sure my brother Jesus did something like that. Except a man be born again. Nicodemus saith unto him, How can a man be born again when he is old? Can he enter the second time into his mother's womb and be born? It's a big grown. He's a grown man asking Jesus the Christ this. You are not going to. This is why people don't like us. You know that, right? People don't like us, and that's okay. You don't have to like us. We're just here to tell you the truth. We are here to tell you the truth about this man, our brother Jesus the Israelite. Make sure you put that on his name when you talk about him. You mean Jesus, the Israelite from the tribe of Judah? You're talking that Israelite, right? Because most people don't even comprehend that. They don't even understand what it is you're talking about. Because if you're going to talk about Jesus, make sure you know which Jesus you're talking about. The one in the Bible? That guy? Jesus the Christ, the Israelite from the tribe of Judah. So we are correct. So we need to know and understand who we're speaking about. Jesus answered, Verily, verily, I say unto thee, except a man be born of water and of the Spirit, he cannot enter into the kingdom of God. For those who don't read the New Testament, for those people who don't read or believe in the New Testament, I need to know, are you still sacrificing turtle doves and goats, sin offering, lamb without blemish of the first year? Are you still putting blood on the two side posts and on the upper posts? Because there are people who don't read the New Testament. There are Israelites who don't believe. So if you do not believe in the New Testament, and if you don't read and you completely discard it, I need you to ask you those valid questions. Do you still sacrifice and make blood sacrifices? Because if you don't, you should be. You need to be. Because if you didn't, where did you get the memo to stop? Where did you get the memo to stop? When did you get the memo to stop? Because you have a lot of people who don't believe in the New Testament. And we're going to get into that eventually as to why. But I'm telling you, in the Israelite Nation Worldwide Ministries, we answer all questions. Everything makes sense once it's taught by a member of this family. It don't make sense outside of that. It don't make any sense because you're trying to put that square peg into a round hole and it don't fit. You need the spirit of the God of Abraham, the God of Isaac, and the God of Jacob. You need the spirit of truth in order for you to navigate your way through. Without that, you're like a ship without a rudder. You're just wandering aimlessly through the scriptures. Don't wander aimlessly through the scriptures. Find yourself with the Israelite Nation Worldwide Ministries and get to know us. You must needs be born again. Verse 6, that which is born of the flesh is flesh, and that which is born of the spirit is spirit. Marvel not that I said unto thee, ye must be born again. The wind bloweth where it listeth, and thou hearest the sound thereof, but cannot tell whence it is come, and whither it goeth. So is every one that is born of the Spirit. Nicodemus answered and said to them, how can these things be? Jesus answered and said unto him, art thou a master of Israel, and knoweth not these things? Art thou a master of Israel, and knoweth not these things? I'm telling you. I am telling you. Verily, verily, verse 11, I say unto thee, we speak that we do know, and testify what we have seen, and ye receive not our witness. If I have told you earthly things, and ye believe not, how shall ye believe if I tell you of heavenly things? And no man hath ascended up to heaven, but he that came down from heaven, even the Son of Man, which is in heaven. This is who we are. We are the Israelite Nation Worldwide Ministries. We are the authority when it comes to this book, because this is our book. We are the authority of this book. Understand that, and your life will be a lot easier. Don't try to navigate through this book by yourself. Don't do it, because if the blind lead the blind, you know where they're going to end up. Dipped in truth. That's a very, very excellent, excellent, excellent topic. It is touching on our baptism, bounded by the law. Our God's laws can never be broken. That's the one thing you need to understand about our God. When he set the boundaries for the seas, and when he put the sun in its place, and when he placed the earth and fastened the foundations, that it moved not. And he set the law. The same way he set that covenant for us as a people, that it could never, ever be broken. Find your way to the Israelite Nation Worldwide Ministries. Don't be too much on the fence, because as my nephew said, life is too short. Don't waste your time. Don't waste the opportunity that you've been given. Some people have, but once you take hold, do not play. Do not play around with the opportunity and the small window that you've been given. Because the same way our God giveth, trust me, he takes away. So don't waste your time. And speaking of time, I believe that's my time. I want to thank you once again for joining us here at the Israelite Nation Worldwide Ministries. Please log in, visit the website, like, subscribe, share, and please, please, please reach out to us. If you want to know the God of Abraham, the God of Isaac, and the God of Jacob, reach out to us on all avenues. And with that, I say, peace, everyone.
Our history did not start with slavery. This is the story of a forgotten time. Prepare to embark on an unforgettable journey. A journey through history, culture, and identity. Discover the rich, untold stories of our past. Join us at the Meridian Arts Center on July 19th, 2025 at 7 p.m. Presented by Gabba Studio. This powerful production will challenge what you think you know. Written and directed by Shadrach Porter. The journey dares to tell the truth, that our roots are deeper, our heritage richer, and our story far greater than what history has recorded. Don't miss this epic presentation. Tickets available now on Ticketmaster. Visit thegappas.com for more information.